Welcome back to the channel. This week on the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener, we have a chat about why you should be starting your summer gardening prep now at the beginning of winter. We spend some time in the back veggie garden, giving it a little late autumn tidy up, and we pop out to the greenhouse to see how Teddy the seed snail is going and check out some of the other veggies that are growing in this space. Come potter with me in the garden. My name is Dawn and I am the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener. Good morning. It's Thursday and it's a beautiful day out here. Probably the best day that we've had all week that I've been able to get out and about. I've had a couple of days where I've had other things on or the weather's just been a bit yuck. So yeah, it's a lovely morning out here. I've got my coffee, so I'm all set up. Lou's been around. He's been trying to get me out all morning, so I'm finally out now. He's walked past and said, oh, okay, and disappeared again. Typical cat. Now, what are we up to this week? Well, it's Thursday and I've only just started the vlog, a bit behind myself. But what I was thinking of doing today was a combination of things. So last week we looked at sort of the basics of what seeds to buy, sort of seed 101, etc. For those people who have never ever grown from seed or are new to gardening. What I want to look at this week is about starting your summer gardening. Yes, it's winter, but actually now is the time to start your summer garden. Now before I forget, sorry about the background noise, there's a lot of building going on around here at the moment, so there's lots of different noises in the background that I can't filter out even with the mic. Now, as I said, it's time to start your summer garden, even though it's the middle of winter. The reason being is that I often see people, come October go, oh, I need to get my garden in. I've never gardened, I need to make a garden and what have you. Well, actually, October's a bit late. You actually, as I said, need to start now. So I thought today, while I'm gardening and doing my bits and pieces in the back garden, because the back veggie patch needs a good tidy up, we'll just have a look at a couple of reasons why you need to start your garden, how to start your garden, and how to make it easier for you as well, because you don't want something that's going to be a weight around you, that you feel that you have to go out and deal with. So it's about making gardening enjoyable. Now, as many of you know, I garden from raised beds because I've got backish and I can't bend, and I often garden from sitting, so that's me. And yes, raised beds is one way. It is an expensive way, but we will look at a slightly less expensive way with sort of raised beds, sort of bordering on container garden. So today I thought we'd look at raised beds, but also in-ground gardening, and talk about the prep and things about that. And I'll give you some really good references around that, so you can go and look at a video or two around that. And also a bit around container gardening, because I do like container gardening in my greenhouse, but I also have a number of containers / raised beds around the side, where I grow things that a lot of people would think aren't really things that you could grow in those sorts of containers, but mine do quite well. So let's start with raised beds. Why do you need to start them now? Okay, so what I'll do is I'll move the camera and we'll look at one of the raised beds and we'll talk about that. And then after that we'll talk about in-ground and why you need to start now. Now, most of this is aimed at first-time gardeners, but it's also aimed at people who want to change the way they're gardening, whether they want to go from raised beds to in-ground or in-ground to raised beds, or maybe you are moving to a rental or to a smaller place and you want to go to container gardening. But also keep up with some sort of veggie growing yourself. And this is predominantly aimed at veggie growing today, but we can look at flower growing another time. So as I said, I'm a raised bed gardener because I have to be. So one of the very first things you need to look at is what do I want to grow? And keep it small if it's your first time growing. Okay, so if you're a new gardener and you want to grow for the first time, keep it small because you don't want it to get out of control and then you feel that you're just not getting what you want out of it. One of the other things you've got to look at is your physical limits. Are you able to actually bend down and get down to an in-ground garden, or like me, you need raised beds? And while I've got big wooden ones here, there are other versions that we'll look at around the corner in my alley as well later today. So that's really important about your physical limits, also your environment. One of the projects I'm working on at the moment outside of my own place is developing a garden somewhere else, but we cannot do in-ground beds because of the underlaying stuff. So it's been built on, this area is built on somewhere that's got a lot of fill, for a better word. I would like to say rubbish, but I won't say that. I did. Oh, me bad. So we're going to have to go with raised beds. So that's that. So if you're on a really clay pan with no real soil, yes, you can build it up over time, but you may have drainage issues. So like out my front garden where I do have flower borders, I've actually got fruit trees, and the reason that they're in the boxes is because we've only got about that much soil, just enough to grow grass in that front area. It's clay pan. And to get the trees up off out their roots, predominantly out of that, I put in raised boxes about that deep, because otherwise the clay pan would have held the water and rotted their roots. Now, if you've got a clay pan and it's just impossible to use, especially if it's, like that, and I'm talking like no dig, okay, not dig garden, because dig gardens are hard work. I'm talking no dig. Yes, you can use them, but you may have drainage issues. So yeah, think about your soil type, what you've got underneath. And if you're not sure, just dig a wee test hole and see how deep your soil goes down. If you've got clay that far below your thing, you're not going to get good drainage, and some of your veggies are going to rot, even if you're using the no dig technique. So why start your raised beds now? We'll look at first, because raised beds sink. Okay, there's no two ways about it. Doesn't matter if they're like one board high or big deep ones like mine, they will sink. And you can put in soil in the bottom half so that it doesn't sink as much, and then put good stuff on like the compost I've got on here, but that will sink because it's full of air, and it will sink considerably over the first few months. So while veggies are usually, like these ones here, these are leeks, are annuals, and you can top up in between, it's good just for the first time to put your bed in, let it sink and top it up before you do your first plant. Okay, and then subsequent plants you can top up as required, and eventually there's enough in there that it'll stop sinking and you're okay, and you just do your normal once a year compost top up if you're using the no dig method, which is the way simplest, less effort and work way to go. Now for in-ground beds, the reason why you should start now is you need to prep the area, and I'm looking at just no dig. Okay, I'm not saying dig the soil over or anything. What you're wanting to do is choose your area and put cardboard down, because at this time of year using black polythene you're not going to get enough heat to kill off the growth. So if you're putting it on grass, say, or weeds, you need a lot of heat, and around about 12 months for that to work. But if you're using the no dig method and using cardboard to start with, this is the time of year to do it. Now I'm going to pop a link in here for Charles Dowding's video, and he's the no dig guru. He's been doing it 40 years, and the one I'm going to put in, if I can find it, is where he started a small garden, and I think it was like 3 metres by 3 metres, which is a perfect size for a beginner gardener, and how he lays down the the cardboard and what have you. Now he, in the video, if I remember rightly, does plant in almost straight away, but that's because he had constraints of filming and things like that. I would suggest that you put your cardboard down and you get your compost, like your first compost layer on top of it, and leave it sit over winter, and before you plant in spring, that you add a second layer, okay? And that hopefully will give you a nice depth of stuff. And in that time, the cardboard will have rotted down too. So your plants will hit the native soil underneath, and you shouldn't, fingers crossed, with the theory working, get a lot of weeds either. Okay, now I'm around the side alley. I've moved so that we can talk about using pots or container gardening. Now, while I'm talking about these big planters, you can use just ordinary pots. The only thing I would say around that is the smaller the pot, the more you'll have to water. The bigger the volume of dirt, the less frequent you have to water. So you still will need to water more often than usually an in-ground or a raised bed. Now, container gardening is ideal for people who rent in any way or form. So whether you rent a house or you rent a flat, and you know that potentially you're not going to be there the whole season, or you have to move on or something like that, or you just don't have permission to use the garden or dig it up or lay down a garden in your rental. The other thing this is good for is if you've only got a balcony or a really small courtyard or something like that, these are ideal pots or / containers. Now these ones here are the raised beds that you can get from places like Bunnings, the Warehouse, and Mitre 10. These are older ones. These ones I got from Bunnings. Now the older version were complete, their legs were attached. The newer version now come as sort of like a big tub, and you can attach the legs if you want, or if you don't want, you can have them just directly on the ground. So it's up to you. So like if you're wanting to grow tomatoes and they grow really tall, then you can keep it on the ground. Or like me, I find these helpful because they're raised and I can easily get to them. Whereas pots, I have to be more like this, even the big pots. So yeah, depending on where you get them from, the brand and what have you, they may or may not have holes in the bottom of the feet. I find that some of my older ones didn't, and I had to put holes in, but they also had an area where the water wouldn't drain away, and at the very bottom a lip, and I thought that would actually be a problem, but it actually turned out to be quite good because it almost set up a reservoir of water like you would having a saucer under a pot, so that was quite helpful. Now, why would you want to do your stuff now in these, being coming up June, rather than waiting till spring to put them in? Well, like the raised beds, they need to have a good quality mixture put in them, and I use a soil improver / composty with a bit of dirt that's all mixed up in one big bag, and it does sink. So you really want to have a good depth of soil in them. Now these ones here take around 60 litres of soil, so that's quite a lot. I get my stuff from a landscaper company that does the big sacks of stuff, and I've worked out roughly, I think one of those sacks is around 40 litres, and these things take 1.5 of one of those. So yeah, good thing about those is that at current prices, the sack is around about $10. So I can fill one of these for $15. So if you prep it now and pop all the soil in and then let it settle till spring and then just top it up in spring, you'll have a good depth of soil for your stuff. Sorry, I'm getting dripped on by the roof. You can grow most things in these. Carrots. Yeah, you could grow carrots because they're quite deep. They're probably like that deep on my arm. So yeah, but you don't need to grow the big long carrots. You could grow like the baby type carrots, which are really nice, and they grow a lot faster than the big long carrots. You can't do parsnips in them because, you know, that's way down. But lots of leafy things like lettuces, you can definitely grow your tomatoes in there. You can only probably put 2 tomatoes in those, but if you're living alone or there's only a couple of you and you're living in a flat or an apartment or something like that, a couple of tomatoes, and there's a whole lot of different tomatoes that I'll be looking at later this year that can be grown that are smaller. So 2 or 3 of these would give you enough for your summer salads and things like that. If you're using pick and come again salads like cos lettuce, or you get spinach in them, grow silver beet in them. You could even grow, if you're into things like your beetroot, anything. They are really versatile. I also use a number of pots for things like my potatoes because I end up having to move my potato bed and I've got nowhere that's really useful for it at the moment. It's a project that I'm working on. So yeah, that's container gardening, but yes, start it now. Right, back around the back garden. So I think that's probably enough of me talking on about starting your garden and how to start it and why to start it now. Please ask me questions that, you know, I love answering questions and things like that. Just pop them down in the comments below and I'll answer the best I can, or pop links in for you to have a look at. As I edit this, I'll also, as I think of it, put in any useful links for you to look at further stuff around raised bed gardening, about in-ground, no-dig gardening or container gardening. But yes, it's the time of year to actually think about it now. Start your prep for it, because the beginning of October, and for some areas even in September, will be the time to start planting. You don't really want to be actually prepping your garden at that stage. Next week I'll talk a bit more about timing of planting and how, if you are growing from seed, about working out when to plant your seed so that your seedling is ready to go into your garden or your greenhouse. So we'll do more about that next week. Okay. In the meantime, today it's beautiful out here. My back garden definitely needs a good tidy up and a weeding. So I'm going to get out there and do that. So you can come along with me if you like, and we can chat as we go. Okay, I'm over by the garlic. And as of yet nothing's popped up, but that's okay, it's really early days yet. The netting that I put across has worked. So the cats haven't been into it, so that's good. They've walked over it, but they haven't dug in it, so that's fine. So there's a couple of weeds to pull. I think I've said numerous times, it's dry here. We're just not getting the rain. We're getting the cold and we might get a shower, but we're not actually getting rain. So I've just watered this. I'll give it another sprinkle in a second using the double watering method. And as I said, pull a couple of weeds. Then I'm going to go on to this. This is the last nets that I've got on, and I think you can see it, sorry, the sun's in my eyes, and this is the cabbages. So I'm going to lift them. It's full of weeds thanks to whatever's in the compost that I put on, and it was my compost, so you know, my fault. I try not to put anything with seeds in my compost because it is cold composting and it doesn't kill the seeds off of weeds or flowers or anything. So yeah, but I know that the family aren't always, bless them, as good about not putting seeds in the container in the kitchen that then gets dumped into the compost bin. So yeah, I've got weeds. So I'm going to tidy that up in a minute. Right, so I've got the net off, which is good. I'm going to go through here, check for aphids. Shouldn't be any caterpillars because I think I got rid of them. Plus it's way too cold for caterpillars and butterflies at the moment. Right, so I've got the net off, which is good. I'm going to go through here, check for aphids. Shouldn't be any caterpillars because I think I got rid of them. Plus it's way too cold for caterpillars and butterflies at the moment. The nighttime temperature is, you know, down to frost, so the butterflies aren't going to be around. And do need to check, as I said, for the aphids. I'm going to weed as I go, and I'm also going to take the bottom leaves off my cabbages just to tidy them up. It's sort of reduces the risk of things like, you know, disease and what have you, because these leaves will start to die in time as they're not needed. It's these top leaves that the plant is actually using for photosynthesis to grow. So I'm just going to do a bit of speedy while I do this, because it's going to take me a fair while. So we'll do a bit of speedy and I'll catch you back at the other end. Okay, that's that bed done. It took me a lot longer than I thought, but I also had heaps of interruptions because the family came out and did some chores for me that I could have done myself, but yeah, it's always good to have a bit of help in the garden. So got some pots moved, and I had my thing that I have all my nets and what have you was crammed full, so they pulled everything out and tidied that up and folded all the nets for me, which is great, because I wasn't going to get the net from the cabbages in there if I didn't, so it just saved me time. Anyway, it's all done. It's been watered. Well, most of it's been watered. I've just got a wee patch to do this end, but I'm going to do the rhubarb, which is behind me, and it's in a bit of a mess. Rhubarb here, where I've got it in this corner, just loves it. I often find my rhubarb goes right through winter. And I've only got 3 plants, which may be a lot, or maybe not be, I don't know. But they grow like anything, and I'm always giving it away to friends and things like that. My freezer's full of it, so I definitely don't need to chop any more up and freeze it. And because it goes all through winter, I've still got it over winter. So yeah, but it just needs all the bits that have gone floppy and pulled out, and just need to give it a wee tidy up and give it a wee feed. I try and feed it at least twice a year. Often in summer when it's really pumping, I'll feed it every month. But I definitely feed it in the autumn and I feed it in the spring. So yeah, I'm going to do that now, and then we'll go on and have a look at the area here, which is my spinach, which has finally started to take off. It's a bit slow to go. Might have been a bit warm for it because it is a winter spinach, and I still haven't snipped off the capsicum plants which are here, so I'm going to do that as well. So yeah, the cats are around. Lou keeps popping in and out, and Bo and Lou have both been asleep under the broccoli just over there. And excitingly, I just had a look at the broccoli before when I was sticking my nose in to talk to the cat, and I've got baby broccoli, or as they are known, calabrese. So yeah, hopefully, not sure how much longer, maybe 3 weeks, and I'll have broccoli, but I need to keep an eye on it because they do grow. The calabrese do grow quite quickly once they form. So, yum, broccoli. Right, I'm going to tidy up the rhubarb. I'll put some photos up before and after, and you can have a look at it. But yeah, I'll catch up with you on the other side of tidying that up. Okay, so that's the rhubarb tidied. I'm rapidly losing the sun here, so I'm going to quickly do this area and then move up to the next bed, and hopefully I'll keep the sun a bit more. Heading towards, where are we? We're about a month away from the shortest day, maybe just 5 weeks. So yeah, workable daylight outside in the afternoon sort of finishes around about 3:30, so it's just coming up to 3 now. So yeah, so do this. I might do a bit of speedy and a bit of music while I do it, and we'll catch up at the other side. So pepper's done, spinach tidied up, and I'll probably do my first pick from that tomorrow, depending on the weather. I may or may not get out here. It's sort of meant to be foggy on whether it clears or not. If it does, that'll be great. If it doesn't, Now I've probably only got another 20-30 minutes before the sun dips below the hills, so I'm just going to keep on going. I've got some carrots here that have just popped up, and yeah, I'm just going to do a bit more and see how things go in the next 20 minutes. But I'll catch up with you tomorrow, and we'll, if nothing else, check Teddy out and some of the things that are going on in the greenhouse. Catch you then. Well, it's Friday, and it's Friday afternoon, and I've come out to the greenhouse because the weather outside is, it's not dreadful. It's not blowing itself to bits or anything like that. We had fog this morning and it was quite low. It did lift around about lunchtime, but it's since lunch it's clouded over, and we are forecast potentially showers this afternoon. So I've decided to come out to the greenhouse and do a wee bit of an update on Teddy, have a look at some of the veggies that I've got growing in here, and depending on the time and how I feel, I might do some more seedling planting, or seed planting I should say, but I do need to be careful about how much I plant because I have got Teddy to plant up once that's ready. But before we get into the work, let's go and have a look at Teddy. I've got some exciting news. So actually I might move the camera a wee bit so that you can see easier. Right, that's a bit better. I can then show you what I was wanting to show you. So Teddy the seed snail, as in Mr. Broccoli's Teddy, yeah, all up that I want up. probably actually going to have to pot them up this weekend because they're starting to sort of get that longer leggy look, which isn't unusual with seeds at this time of year. So yeah, I'm going to unravel him, and actually what I'll try and do is I'll show unravelling him. I've never done it before, so it'll be an adventure together. And the exciting news is Teddy Seed Snail Spring Onion has sprung. So I've only got probably about a dozen little shoots. So spring onions do, well, onions in general do like a slightly warmer temperature than broccoli does for germinating. So it's taken them a bit longer to germinate. But I just looked at the date on it and it's the 30th, so it's about 15 days, so that's okay. I will give this one a wee bit of a spritz after I've done some other stuff in here. I don't want to splash too much water around because I'm wearing my fuzzy feet because the concrete's cold and even my tootsies don't like it. I mean, I normally say I'll walk around in snow in bare feet, but at the moment my tootsies are feeling particularly cold. So yeah, really pleased with Teddy, and if Teddy Sea Snail broccoli unwraps the way it's supposed to, that will be great. I'm going to probably pot him up in small pots because he just needs to grow a bit more before I stick him in the bigger pots, and I'm only using not my 13 litre ones. The pots I used up there are, for a better word, recycled. They were ones that would have come from a nursery with a bigger shrub type plant in them because I want to be able to put them up the top here. The top of my shelves here is going to hopefully be a good spot for the broccoli over winter, and the passion fruit vine is just starting to drop its leaves, so it will not be shading it in any way. Right, enough of me wittering on. Let's have a look at what's going on in the veggies down here, and I'll turn the camera down so that you can see what's going on with the carrots, and then we'll have a look at the spinach. So this is my 3 pots of baby carrots, and yeah, they're really doing well. I know it looks sort of crowded, and I haven't thinned them for a real reason. They won't grow huge. I want them as like small baby carrots that you don't peel, you just eat the whole thing or boil the whole thing or cook the whole thing. So I'll leave them as is and see how they go. Actually, I should probably be planting another pot or 2 of them about now if I can go and find the baby carrot seed. I'm in the middle of doing a seed audit, so my seeds are all over the place. Now, these are my 3 pots of spinach that I planted the seeds direct. They're doing well. I'm really pleased with them. We looked at my outside spinach yesterday, and it's just ready for its first pick. This will probably be ready in a week or 2 for its first pick, and I'm hoping with it being in the greenhouse that I'll be able to pick a wee bit more often than I do for the outside spinach, because I usually can only get a feed off every 3, maybe every 4 weeks from that. So this is hopefully going to give me a bit more. Now, this is my one and only little pot of spring onions, and these are the ones that I planted as seedlings. As I said, I can't remember if it was last week, my direct sown spring onion pot, nothing came of it, hence why I'm quite elated, to put it mildly, that my Teddy Snail with the spring onions has actually sprouted, so that's good. Now, this is one of my 3 broccolis I've got in here, and he is not doing at all well. He is covered in aphids and whitefly, and I have tried everything. I've even resorted to spraying him. But yeah, he's not doing that well. So I'm thinking of putting him outside for a while and see if the cold weather might help with the aphids and things like that. See, because they're not the green-grey aphid, they're the good old-fashioned little green one. And the white fly, yeah, I'm hoping that the cold and the wind and the rain, if we ever get any rain, might sort him out. So he's going out. The other two up there seem to be okay. It's just him, and he's right next to them. So it just shows that the insects will find what they deem to be a weaker plant and feed off the weaker plant and leave your other ones alone. So he's going out for a holiday. Anyway, I think that's it for me for the week. We'll do a coffee and chat soon. And yeah, I'll go and get on with dinner soon. Well, it's that time of week for a coffee and a chat, though I've actually got a cup of tea and it's getting a bit on the cold side. So before we get into looking at what we got up to this week, I just want to reflect on the fact that this is vlog 52. So depending on which way you want to look at it, this could be the year marker that I've been doing a vlog every week for 52 weeks. Or I decided myself that I'd leave it till the beginning of next week, which is vlog 53, and that look back on the year that was. Plus it's actually closer to the actual date that I released my first video, which was, if I remember rightly, the 26th of May. So next week we're just going to do a wee bit of a review of the year and reflect on from my very first vlog through to where I am now. So what did we get up to this week? Well, it's been a bit of a funny old week for me. Had lots on sort of Saturday, Sunday and early in the week, and the weather wasn't great, so I didn't actually start recording till yesterday. So the first part was really aimed for new gardeners or people who are wanting to change the way that they are gardening, mainly around vegetables. Now, one of the reasons why I'm wanting to do it is because that is around food resilience, and it's a bit of a subject that's close to my heart. I'm really passionate about people being able to grow their own veggies, even if it's I'm not talking self-sufficiency, I'm just talking about enough to supplement what they eat, that it's fresh, that it's seasonal, and that they enjoy growing it, because gardening should not be a chore. It should be something that you enjoy, gets you outside, gets you into the sun so you get a wee bit of vitamin D, not too much sun because you don't want to get burnt, but so that you're actually out enjoying the fresh air and doing some physical exercise. Even though I garden from a chair, I'm still out doing and moving, and I use my gardening, as much as I enjoy it and really like doing it, I also use it as a form of physio for me and my stuffed back. So back to why I was doing the whole thing about gardening this week, was looking at why you need to start your veggie patch now. It's coming into winter. Why do you need to get your summer garden prep started now? I often see people in the groups that I help moderate and admin talking, oh, I need to get, I'm a new gardener, I need to get a veggie garden and it's October, November, is it too late? It's not too late, but it's better if you actually start now. We briefly looked at basically the three versions that mainstream. So in-ground gardening, raised bed gardening, and container gardening. And it was just a very light touch on all those. And if you've got more questions and all the links that I pop in don't feed you enough information, please do ask me questions. All my friends and what have you know that I'll talk gardening all day, every day. Once we did that, we started doing a wee bit of a tidy up and a glow up for the veggie patch out the back. It just needed a sort of it's late autumn now, and I got the last of the nets off yesterday. I should have got them off a bit earlier, but I can thankfully report there is no green-grey aphid, which was my concern having the nets over. The white butterflies have gone. I didn't notice any new caterpillar activity. Wee bit of slug work, but I've sprinkled a few more eggshells around. So yeah, really happy with the way the back garden's going at the moment. And as I think I said yesterday, I've spotted the first calabrese, as in the broccoli head. So that's really good. Hopefully I'll have fresh broccoli in about 3 weeks maybe. I just spotted a cat wandering past. It's Bo. I can tell it's Bo because of the wee white socks. Neither of the boys are particularly happy being in the greenhouse. I don't know why. Lou I sort of can understand because he doesn't like being inside, so greenhouse is sort of inside. Bo just not interested. They might come around and have a wee poke around for a few minutes, but they don't hang out here with me the way they do in the garden. And earlier this week, when I was out just having some me time, Bo was sleeping underneath the broccoli while I was potting up some pansies, which is quite funny. And we had a look at my veggies that are going in here. And yes, all these veggies can grow in the garden out here, you know, like the back garden. I'm just using this space this year as an extra growing area because I'm not doing wintering over of perennials or anything. So it's just an extra growing space this year. And of course, the really good news is Teddy Broccoli, he's ready, basically. I'm going to pot him up probably tomorrow or the next day, depending on what pans out for my weekend. And of course, my spring onions have started to pop up, so I'm really, really pleased. So I will do unravelling of Teddy on camera because it'll be new to me and we'll see how it goes. And then I'll just give the seedlings a wee bit more space because at this time of year with the less light and what have you, they need as much light as possible. And being in the snail may not give them enough. Right, that's enough from me. I'm going to go in and make some tea for the family in a few minutes and go and make myself a hot cup of tea, I think. I hope you're having a happy and safe time in your garden at the moment and enjoying some of the lovely autumn days that we're getting here in New Zealand. So until next week's vlog, it's bye from me.